Good morning, everyone. Hi, and today we're going to illuminate the path regarding a very important subject, and it's God. Hi, Sharona.
Good morning, Tamar. Good morning to everyone. We take a few minutes to come into the godly wavelength. First of all, this means that I disconnect from the ordinary, everyday wavelength that my overly busy mind lives in. I disconnect from that and I connect to another stratosphere, another wavelength above. So really, the worries, the stress, any kind of bad feeling, it's a frequency so low, it's down below. And I am above, in a blue sky of a frequency, clear, clean, pure. And I'm just resting there, recharging. Allowing the pure, clean energies to wash me over and renew. Om Shanti.
Om Shanti.
Today's thought is more like a theme rather than a thought. It is taking from God, taking from the divine, the supreme, the highest source, whatever word you use, to acknowledge that there is something that I can connect to, which is bigger than me, more intelligent than me, more powerful, peaceful, and loving than me or any human. So, taking from that source. What do we want to take from that higher source? And how can we be mistaken in that dynamic?
Wow. So you go right away, assuming everybody knows you're God. And I'm saying it because everybody I need to address for a minute the word God, because a lot of people have all kinds of connections to it. And you said it very nicely, the divine higher source, right, ocean of love. We have a lot of words for it. Um, and sometimes, but not all people see God like that.
Right.
And it's interesting to sit to talk, I think, for a minute, because I think your vision and about about God and the relationships with Him, maybe we have to address it before we're starting taking, because the taking is a big part also about talking what do we take and on what,
Maybe,
yeah.
maybe. Or this program isn't for the people who don't want to hear about God. I was definitely like that at the beginning of my studies. So maybe turn this off and tune in another day. Because it's not a vision I have of God that I would be sharing, but an experience, my experience of God, which is daily and throughout the day, anytime I turn to that one. And so it's as I was describing, the whole of a spiritual path, I think, underlines for us the reality of vibration, even how my thought is vibrating and it's communicating to people even before I open my mouth. And a lot of times it's communicating so loudly, others can't even hear what I'm saying with my words because they're getting that vibration. So I am a being of very elevated divine vibrations originally. And that's because I've been, as they say, made in his image, her image. So the image that I have of myself is that being of light. I'm sitting here, the thinking, intelligent, wise, divine entity running this body. And with this kind of thought, energy of thought rising, I can connect, I can plug in to that wavelength coming to me from the one above, who is an ocean of the highest and purest energies, like love or peace. So it's thought, a very elevated, pure thought, which will always be simple and very unrelated to whatever's going on around me through my physical senses, that can disconnect me from one wavelength and connect me to another. And on that other wavelength, I can be the recipient of the vibrations of that one above.
Yeah, I think what I'm asking, and you're right, the word experience is better. A lot of people see God as critical, punishing. They're even afraid to take from God.
Yeah.
Uh,
I
from,
think, yeah, sorry, go ahead.
yeah, no, I think I was regarding that kind of perspective.
Right. Um, Again, spirituality is to give me more pieces of information. Ideally, there's some recognition on my part that I'm missing some pieces of the larger picture. And so if we step back and accept the way God is spoken of in almost every scripture as the parent, the father, if not also mother, father, then no parent likes to see her child suffer. And also, no parent would unequally distribute the love. I'm talking about an ideal parent. Maybe the experience we have of our parents in this lifetime were not so good. Maybe the mother or the father failed those roles, and maybe we're projecting that on God. But this one is the perfect mother, the ideal father. And so no child would be favored, no child would be caused to suffer by this perfect, loving parent. The fact that there is suffering and the fact that we often feel that we're getting a return for something we did, especially if it's negative, that belongs to the other things going on in the universe, like the laws of cause and effect. As we sow, so we shall reap. But this one's job is to be the ideal, perfect mother, ideal, perfect father. So I get everything I get from that one: perfect love. And I also get perfect wisdom, the ability to discern, know right from wrong, and the strength to go according to what's right, like that. But these things, we need to learn about them. You know, in our course, for example, in the Brahma Kumaris, we have a whole session, a whole concept to create some new ways of not just understanding God, but experiencing God. And then you're supposed to play with it, try it out, and see if indeed you are able to access at will a whole new resource for living your life well.
Yeah. And I think when you find this resource and when you manage to plug into it, there's something else really that's going on. And maybe that's where we start talking about the taking.
Mm-hmm.
Because when we are plugged in and there's a lot of energy that fills us up, it's something else. It doesn't drain. It's endless.
Right.
Something feels endless about it. And you were asking which way, what way we're taking, on what vibrations we're taking. Do we take it because we're small and we need it, or do we take it because we're self-sovereignty, have self-sovereign and can draw and can behave? Ever since I was a little kid, first of all, I have to say that I didn't. I was born into a very realistic family. So everything five senses only. Whatever what the science said. And then I understood that everything is, let's say, a religion. Even science is a religion. It's what you believe in, and how you make your world, or the order of the world. And I started to investigate, is there something higher than that or more than that? And it was really easy to get to the conclusion that there is, because we know that there are things around us that we cannot see with our five senses. It's even science shows us that. So it's very easy to understand that we cannot grasp everything with our five senses. And then when you start playing, in the beginning, I remember I was every time something was bigger for me, felt too big for me, and I started, going with higher, or trying, or thinking what is God is, where I was there. I said, okay, let God take care of that. Okay, which helped me at that time. It was relieving for me to know that I don't need to take care, as the person who usually likes to take care of everything. I don't need to take care of everything. But then it didn't really felt truth. It felt like everything I can't handle, I'm giving to him. It didn't feel right. It felt like a bypass.
Yeah.
And I think that's one way not to take from him.
Right, right, right. Yeah, that's nice. Yeah. Um, it's one thing to think that taking from God happens after you've asked God, God, please give me this, give me that, etc., versus emerging the original quality vibrations that are really what I'm made of, and using those to make a connection, wavelength to wavelength, vibration to vibration, because as you were saying, then it just flows. It just flows. And I'm recharged. It's like the battery is recharged, and it's like your, lamp. If it's not plugged in, then the light will not turn on. but you just plug it in and then you don't even have to think. The light doesn't think, but it goes on and serves everyone. So this has become a very important foundation for my well-being. And as a parent, I feel that God as a parent, this is the primary responsibility of the parent, is to raise the child and enable the child to herself make right choices, make right decisions. Not that God is going to take care of all of my karmic accounts, which is another way of saying all of my challenges and difficulties, but definitely that one is giving me everything in order to be able to align myself to high principles and values and move accordingly. That's the inheritance we get from God, and that is inherent in me, and that's what makes me valuable. I am a divine child of the divine. But one other thing I was thinking of was a story I heard recently, and that is a woman was having a very hard time in her marriage, and the husband wasn't cooperating with her desire to go back to school, have a career. He wasn't cooperating with her changes of diet, her interest in spirituality. He'd been kind of controlling, but the whole time, the whole marriage, but she put up with it, probably for the sake of the children, but it reached a point, especially since the children had grown up, where she really, really felt quite persecuted by the whole situation in the home life. And she was reminded that, why doesn't, she said she came into this new kind of relationship, new way of relating to God, because she started the course at the Brahma Kumaris. And so her teacher said, why don't you sit in front of God and just share these difficulties and see what emerges in your consciousness about a next step and what to do. So as she relates the story, she says, I sat there and I was telling God, take away this sorrow, take away this pain. You have to take this away from me. I cannot bear it anymore. And the very strong thought that emerged in her mind, a thought she would never have created, but it was in her heart and like on the screen of her mind was, no, you have to give it to me. And that sums up the whole of my responsibility versus God's, I feel. Because, I think we were talking about it the other day. You can not allow any chocolate cake into your house, and you can put a Band-Aid on your mouth so you don't eat it. And even after eating it so much, you can take medicine or vomit and feel better. But none of those things address the real seed of the problem, which is greed, or I don't know what you'd call it, comforting yourself through, wrong comforts. So in the same way, God can help me come back to myself and know what peace is and know what love is in its purest form. But I have to see the fear I'm working with, the resentment I'm working with, the anger I'm working with. If he just takes it away, waves a magic wand, the seed of it won't be affected. And so it'll come up in other ways, or maybe in a new relationship or in some other corner of the life. So, no, for me to give it to God, I have to really recognize What is it that's taken away my love and my peace? What's sitting in me, which is damaging my relationship with my own self? And I have to give that to him. And of course, he will take it. And I will feel, in the absence of that, all that I am originally and all that he is, and the connection can flow. It's like, just to add one more thing, originally and naturally, we're connected to that source. And flowing to me is so much strength and well-being, all the stuff of well-being. So I have to ask myself, what is it that's blocking it if I'm not feeling that? And it's a real learning curve to understand that every thought I have of resentment, fear, anger, these things are blocking what otherwise is a very open channel. It's like the socket is there. I have the plug in my hand, but the wires have been damaged. But giving it to God starts the process of acknowledging the wires are twisted and I have to fix the wires.
I think there's so much more to talk about it. I'm wondering what should we do because we're at about the end of time because you're saying you said a lot of important stuff. Um, it does touch a little bit what we talked about renouncing. Now we talked about renouncing name and fame, but now you're talking about decide you don't want that in your anymore in your life. You have to make this decision. You have to acknowledge it, make this decision, and see what needs to be changed. And the matter of fact, it is so easy. I also have a story. We don't have time for it now. It's so easy when it goes this way. When you shift the thing from being stuck on what's take it away from me to what's the gift here. And I'm not talking spiritually, what's the gift in this sorrow, but no, just exactly, it's like a researcher. Understand there is a gift, a true gift, and it's not something you need to look very far. When you understand it, you can give it. And then, like you said, something else fills up.
Something comes in, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like we're not saying you shift something in yourself so that you can sit there and take the wrong behaviors of someone else, but
Yeah.
you will find the strength and you will find the conviction that what you're about is good and you have the power to make a decision, for example, to leave or to go to counseling with your partner, something new, but I have to do it. God only can give me the awareness that there is an alternative and that truth is something always nonviolent and good.
And I think that's the point if we sum it, because I think that when you call it sit in front of God, anyone does it his own way, but let's tune in, let's say tune into that vibration. You know, some people do it during prayers. There's a lot of way to do that.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
tune into that vibration makes everything or all the frequencies so high that you can see the spots more clearly.
That's right.
That's what I would say. I think that's the point. God helps you see the things more clearly
Right.
because when you're tuned into high vibration, there's no me and him. There's something very clean, and then you see more easily. It's not
And
easy, but
and
more
you and
more
you have the power to let it go.
yeah.
And as soon as you let it go, more of that light and might comes in, and you can make wise decisions.
Yeah.
Thank you. That was beautifully said.
Okay, so I think we'll go in for our last minute.
Just shift your image of yourself. Don't be a human, be the being. which is just like a flower underneath the rays of the sun. Just get in touch with your flower-like self and accept the rays of love and light to reach you from above.
Om Shanti.
Om Shanti.
I'll see you tomorrow.